Energy doesn't have feelings. Meditation. Why is meditation important? What thoughts? We have about 70,000 thoughts a day. What thoughts go through your mind every single day? Starting from the basics and becoming that person today. If we have 70,000 thoughts a day, our biggest risk and our biggest potential enemy key is to adjust your baseline operating frequency. Now, how do you do this? Some of you guys are entrepreneurs, or you're in sales, or even if you have a normal job, live, walk, talk, converse, network, and live like that person today. Hey guys, welcome back to the Grant Mitt Podcast, episode number 116. In this episode, we're going to be breaking down energy and how to actually start attracting anything. The most interesting part about energy and attracting anything is that no matter where you're at right now, no matter what level you're at and wherever you want to go, we're all operating at a specific frequency. Now, each one of us operates at a baseline, meaning that there are times when something really good happens and your energy or frequency raises quite a bit. There's times when you have a bad day or you get in a fender bender or you have a flat tire and your frequency drops. Now, that doesn't mean that for the rest of your life, you're at that negative frequency because you're mad about that tire, right? You eventually go up and kind of find a constant baseline. That constant baseline is the frequency that you're most consistently at. Now, why does this matter and how does this work? We all operate at a baseline frequency that attracts specific people, specific finances, income, experiences. Anything that you have had over the past year is typically based off of your baseline frequency. Now, a simple way to view this, right? And I'm going to give you kind of a good way to look at this is think about a radio. Most of us don't listen to the radio anymore, but let's say that you want to listen to 97.9 FM. But let's say there's something wrong with your radio or you just don't like the numbers 97.9. So for whatever reason, you set it to 97.5. You could be such a hardworking person. You could pray, you could hope, you could shout out for affirmations. I'm listening to 97.9. I'm listening to 97.9. You could do all of these things over and over and over again. You could pray. You could go through so much this week. You could have got laid off. You could have won the lotto. You could have had a great week. No matter what, when you get back in your car, and you've hoped all day long, it's going to be 97.9 this time. If it's still set on 97.5, you're not going to listen to 97.9. Energy doesn't have feelings. There is no language, Spanish, English, Mandarin, whatever the case may be. There's no language, there's no emotion. It doesn't matter what is fair. It doesn't matter what you want it to be. It matters what is. If you are on 97.9, no matter what you think is fair, no matter what that person went or didn't go through, no matter who they knew versus who you didn't know, all those things go out the window. If you're on 97.9, you're listening to 97.9. If you're on 97.5, you're listening to 97.5. This is how the world works. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a 3-step process on how to structurally understand how to attract anything and how to start changing your routines and processes to really change your entire life. And you could do this like this. Heck, you could start this by the end of this thing. You're going to feel better. But now let's build a consistency to raise that baseline. Okay. So the first thing to I think is a good metaphor or example, because most people think in metaphors, is some of you guys are entrepreneurs or you're in sales, or even if you have a normal job, I want you to think about a day, maybe in the past week, month, or even the year, that you closed a big deal, or you had your best sales week, best sales day, or you hit like some goal or metric at your job, or you got promoted, or something great happened. Do you notice, one, the way that you feel? You felt euphoric. You had an abundance mindset. You weren't tied to any outcome at that moment. Were you stressing about rent or making enough money or being enough? Probably not. At least I hope not, because that would have ruined the whole moment. But you were probably in a really, really good mindset. Now, for those of you who are entrepreneurs or salespeople, or you're in any performance-based business, do you notice the way that you communicated in those next couple appointments or next couple meetings or even the next couple days after closing that big deal? Do you notice that people were just a little bit nicer to you? They respected you a little bit more. Do you notice that you were more willing to walk away than before? You notice that closing that next deal was easier because, yeah, you wanted it in a way, but you didn't really need it. It was like everything you said just flew off the tongue. It was perfect. You were poised. You knew how to say it. And a simple way to do it is, when is the easiest time to close a deal? when you just closed another right before because you don't need it. The world can sense this. I gave this example to a lot of the friends in my guy group. I said, when do women want you the most? And they're like, when you get a girlfriend. You could get a girlfriend. Let's say you never had a girlfriend for 2 years. You get a girlfriend. You didn't even tell a soul. Next thing you know, women start jumping out of trees trying to date you. They don't even know. Why is that the case? Your frequency adjusts. You now are not tied to trying to find a girlfriend and trying to find someone you like and trying to find the right fit and hoping this date goes good and all these different things. And it's because you're like, I'm happy with where I'm at. I got a great person that I'm dating. I don't need anybody else. Now, all of a sudden, the girl that you wanted to date says, hey, I'm interested now. Hey, I'm single now. It's like a running joke between men. I know I have men and women that listen to this, and maybe this is opposite for women too. I don't know. But my point to you is things start coming to you when you operate on the frequency that aligns with what you want and you aren't attached to the outcome. Meaning if it happens, that's great. But if it doesn't, it's no big deal. And just that alone starts attracting abundance into your life. And this is number 2. The key is to adjust your baseline operating frequency. Now, how do you do this, right? The first thing is to ask you this in first principles. What do you normally consume on a weekly basis? And you can write this down. Who are you typically around on a weekly basis? What thoughts? We have about 70,000 thoughts a day. What thoughts go through your mind every single day? What limiting beliefs do you have? A lot of us, our biggest strength is our skill set, but our biggest weakness is also how talented we are, because the problem is we are going to be good at anything we do. And you're like, well, Grant, why is that bad? Well, it's simple. You may end up in the wrong industry, the wrong business, working your ass off to do 1/10 of what you actually could be doing. I see this all the time. I have great friends and people I've worked with and family members and different people that are so talented. They could be making millions and millions of dollars, but they're making 1/10 of that revenue because they're in the wrong game. They're solving a wrong problem. Remember, if we have 70,000 thoughts a day, our biggest risk and our biggest potential enemy and our biggest prohibitor of our success is probably not necessarily other people. Even the worst of people, the people you're around the most, aren't speaking 70,000 words to you. We have to first start from within. So how do we change that? One is you have to reprogram your subconscious. The best way to do this is a couple different areas. Number 1, meditation. Why is meditation important? Meditation opens up the subconscious mind to allow you to change what occurs in it. So you do this by, it's almost like a car. You open up the hood of the car. If you don't open up the engine and open up the hood of the car to work on that specific engine, you cannot change it. You can hope, you can pray, you can drive faster, you can drive slower, you cannot drive 6 months. The engine is not changing until you stop the car, you lift it up, you open the hood, and you make the necessary changes. Meditation is for just that. When you're in a meditated state, and this also can occur right before you go to bed, right before you wake up, when you're reading, all of these things occur and they open up that subconscious. That is when it is susceptible to change. This is why children, anywhere from 1 to 7 years old, can absorb so much information. Their subconscious is opened and ready to absorb stuff. Their brain is processing so much information to develop at a really quick rate. You can redo this even as an adult. So when you get into that meditated state, then you want to do 2 things. You want to do visualizations where you feel the feeling of that visualization. So let's say that you're at point A right now, and this is you paycheck to paycheck, you're making 70 grand, you want to get promoted, but you're not, it's unfair, you're with a bad relationship, you have a solid friend group, but they don't challenge you to be great, and you don't like where you're living. Now, let's say where you want to live, and what reality you want to live in, is making hundreds and hundreds, or even $1 million+ a year, a thriving, successful business, perfect credit, no debt, an amazing partner, an amazing friend group, all these different things. And there is a gap between those 2 frequencies. The key is to visualize and feel. And you're like, Grant, why would I do this? I'm not going to sit here visualizing myself all day. I thought this too. Just hear me out. When you start visualizing and thinking through what it's a day in a life of that version of you is, what it's like to deposit a check, what it's like to scale your business, visualizing the people and things that you're around. When you start feeling that emotion, your brain does not know the difference between a thought, a visualization, and actual reality. The brain's neurons reacts the exact same. So in that moment, plus after, you're going to start literally producing that frequency to the world, right? Next is through affirmations. If we have 70,000 thoughts a day, and right now we're thinking 10 to 15,000 negative ones, we need to eliminate that as much as possible, but also change even the neutral or positive thoughts to solve bigger problems. I was talking to one of my good friends, and he's in sales, and he was talking about how there was this guy I knew that, made 370K, and that's 170 more than he used to make. And he's like, I got to figure out how to get there. And what I told him is that literally what I'm telling you guys is that you're solving the wrong problem. I'd say first thing is like, let's figure out how to make 3 million a year and solve first the math, then solve the knowledge that you would know. And then 3, solve the resources that you would know and build out that machine. And I told him that you're quickly going to realize you're going to need more people. You may need setters, you may need door knockers, you may need AI, you may need more salespeople, you may need to start your own business. And after I was done telling him these things, because I basically broke down the math problem of scaling my first company, and he was like, holy cow. His whole mindset changed. He's like, I'm going home, I'm getting on the whiteboard, and I'm changing all my plans and goals. Because he's so smart. He knows how to do this. He just needed a perspective change. So you have to change what's going into your brain. And you can curate your reality to operate on a higher frequency by every single second of the day and building systems and processes in your life that only allow the right people, the right perspectives, the right situations, and the right realities to come into your life. A lot of the BS that we deal with is simply through being in the wrong environments and being around the wrong people. It's not complex. You hang around people that all they have is problems and drama and BS. Look, you're just going to get more of it. I don't care how cool or smart you are. If you only go to negative areas, you're going to deal with more things. And these are so basic, right? And it's like, oh, that's obvious. We all listen to this. We're like, oh, that's going to make my life better. But do we actually do it? That's the difference. And that's the one thing I've seen in successful people, and I've experienced myself, is everyone's always asking, they're like, Grant, how do you feel motivated? How do you feel this? And I'm like, what the hell does motivation have to do with any of this shit? Motivation is not scalable. It isn't. You don't wake up feeling great every day. You're going to be tired some days. You're going to deal with some BS. People are going to quit. Your biggest customer is going to, we're going to deal with that. And that's where having systems and proactively building your intelligence, your team, your resources, and your mindset to think the right way changes everything. Okay, so remember, we're trying to get on a higher operating frequency so you can attract that thing. Because remember, if you're at that 70K and you want to get to the multi-million level, whatever, I'm giving you an example here, you have to think, live, walk, talk, converse, network, and live like that person today. I had an old mentor. It was one of the first people I worked for. Well, second job I ever had. And I learned more from him than probably any of my other bosses. And a lot of you guys would actually know who he is because he's built a huge brand, which is great to see. And as soon as he did, I was like, of course, this is great. And he used to always say, it's like, Grant, you got to become that person now. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He goes, you got to dress like it. You got to walk like it. You got to live like it. And I got what he was saying, but I didn't truly understand. And I accidentally figured this out when I went from making like 120 to 180K a year to making over 7 figures a year, building my first successful business. And what happened is I had invested so much into my mind. I had worked so hard on understanding business and having the right mindset, knowing the right people, but really knowing how to operate, that I had just kind of morphed myself into someone who does run a really successful business. And so when I started it, it was actually easier that first 6 months than anything I had done before, and I was making 10 times more money. Like, how the hell was this the case? Because I became the person that was not only capable of getting it, but I became the person that was able to actually keep it. And that's what I'm telling you to do right now, is instead of solving these micro tiny problems in the current reality you live, start building yourself, your resources, your knowledge, and the systems and processes needed to actually accomplish what you want of that future self today. So if you read the same books that the wealthiest people on earth read, you go to the same restaurants, the same clubs, the same cities, you watch the same videos, you read the same newspapers, all these things, like it's that simple. You start changing those 70,000 thoughts that go through your head. You start solving different problems that higher level people who are performing, at a bigger level than a lot of other people are solving. Think different. And one thing that I used to do to kind of psych myself out to this is I would call my brother, I'd be with my brother, or people in my family. I'd go, yeah, I'm thinking about getting this car. And it's like more than I make a year, right? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm thinking about this. The thing is, I don't know about this. And they would know what I was doing and they just wouldn't say anything. They got used to me doing this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing this. And when we're doing this much in revenue. So I would always talk like we're heading there. It wasn't a dream. It was just a process. It was somewhere that we were heading. But why was I doing that? I was changing the problem in my head and changing my frequency to operate and think. So I was raising essentially my baseline frequency so I could consistently attract people, opportunities, and circumstances that aligned with that future version of myself. So even though I was living in the lower version, my frequency and my thoughts and who I was at that higher frequency. So I attracted it effortlessly. It felt so easy. And it's like, you have to become that person today. I had someone, I have a private business community. I have like 300 people in there. And if you guys are listening, you can join for free. I think there's a link below. But he was like, Grant, I'm making all these networks and I go up and I buy people coffee and I do this. Like, how would I sell to them? And what I told him is kind of what I found out. And it's kind of unfortunate to say is that you're probably not going to make any money off of these people. And they're dealing with their own businesses and own problems. They don't have time to just help this young kid suddenly become successful. You could maybe get lucky, but they got to be your dad or uncle or cousin or brother, maybe for them to do it. What I told him is instead, go build something now, marketing agency, lead generation agency, something. Like, go specialize and learn something that can help them, and then go to them because you already have a relationship, and then you might be able to make money off of it. But just buying people coffee, I mean, there's a chance, but you got to actually go build things. And that's how you attract ultimately what you want, okay? So that is the secret. It's like starting from the basics and becoming that person today. And then everything you want will suddenly come to you, not because you work so hard and you're a good person and you said the right affirmations. No, because now you're that person, you're operating that frequency. So why should you not get that thing? It's obvious. You are the person for the job. So hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. As always, you guys can check me out on all my social media outlets at Grant Mitt. And we'll make sure to see you guys again for episode 117. And also, guys, if you are listening to this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment below. And if you guys are checking this out on Spotify, Apple, or any other platform, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. Thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks, guys.